Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome once again to NoDQ&A video right here on NoDQ.com and the YouTube channel. WWE Battleground is this Sunday live on pay-per-view. You can check out play-by-play coverage at NoDQ.com and stay tuned to NoDQ.com for all the very latest regarding Battleground news and spoilers. NoDQ.com is your source for all that. With that being said, let's get right down to your questions via spring.me/AaronRift. First one today comes from Kayfabe Candy Ass. With last week's Raw rating being shitty, do you think WWE will stand behind Daniel Bryan's push like they should, and for once blame it on Monday Night Football rather than pretending that they don't compete with them? Well, no doubt Monday Night Football has definitely been the main reason why WWE takes a hit around this period. Usually between September and January, it's a period where WWE sees the ratings decline, and it's definitely football as the number one reason. And also it's one of the weaker periods creatively. It's usually slower because during the first part of the year you have WrestleMania, and that's when WWE's arguably at their highest point creatively. And then when they're building up to SummerSlam, it gets good again. But yeah, the period right after WrestleMania and right after SummerSlam is usually slow. And I don't think that they will stop Daniel Bryan's push. I mean, John Cena's gone right now, so they have to go with Daniel Bryan as the top guy. And, I think that WWE will continue to go in the direction they're going in unless there's some sort of major free fall in the ratings, which I don't see happening. I don't think that they will change plans. I think that they will keep going with the Daniel Bryan push at least through the end of the year. And then once Cena comes back, I mean, who knows what's going to happen at that point. All right, this one comes from Steven Schultz Zolf. Or no, Steven Schultz OF. Okay. Hey Aaron, first time question here. After Battleground, do you think that the Daniel Bryan-Randy Orton feud will finally be concluded or will it go on for another pay-per-view or so? If not, who do you think should take Orton's spot if Bryan is to win the title? That's a good question. First of all, I am expecting there to be a third match at Hell in the Cell, and that should be the match that finally settles the feud. And as far as where it goes after that, I mean, Daniel Bryan should win this feud and end the feud as champion. And where do you go with Daniel Bryan after this? I mean, WWE doesn't have a lot of top heels right now, so it's hard to say who you could put him against. I suppose Big Show can have his 50-second heel turn and feud with Daniel Bryan and be the corporate giant. I mean, or maybe Triple H. You could have Triple H say, hey, you know what, Randy Orton didn't get the job done, so if anybody's going to do it, it's going to be me. So you could do Daniel Bryan versus Triple H, and as I mentioned in the previous video, maybe bring in Shawn Michaels, and you can even have Michaels be the guest referee. Who's he going to side with? The guy he trained or his best friend Triple H? So there's a lot of different ways WWE could go, but I mean, yeah, I think Daniel Bryan and Triple H would be your best bet, but time will tell what direction they're going to go in. But yeah, I mean, besides Triple H, I mean, you really don't have a lot of strong heels on the roster right now. So, it's got to be somebody like Triple H or Big Show, or, maybe they could turn somebody else. I mean, Sheamus has still got some time before he's coming back. So, they're very limited right now, actually. And I would also hold off on CM Punk. I mean, if they're going to do Daniel Bryan and CM Punk, I think that they should wait till WrestleMania. But if they feel desperate enough, they might pull the trigger on that and do them against each other, sooner. All right, this one comes from Paul Heyman Guy 18. Hey Aaron, can you see RVD beating Alberto Del Rio at Battleground and Damian Sandow cashing in Money in the Bank, and then feud with somebody until the Rhodes family angle is finally over, and then drop the belt to Cody? You know what? That is a possibility. I mean, WWE doesn't like the matches to be too predictable, and the news is out that RVD's short-term contract is about to expire. So it might be an interesting swerve to have RVD actually win the title, and then have Damian Sandow cash it in on RVD. That would actually be interesting. And if RVD signs a new contract, And that would actually be a good way to do that because, you know, give RVD the title, and then, you know, there's that incentive for him to come back. He can be right back in the world title match, in the world title picture. So, you know, that's something that they could do. And the fact that Damian Sandow it has kind of, you know, he's kind of, they've downplayed him in recent weeks. So, you know, that could be a sign that they're getting ready to have him cash in Money in the Bank because, you know, they don't always make it obvious when the guy's cashing in Money in the Bank. They usually try to, you know, not push the guy hard and then kind of put him in the background. So then when he does cash it in, it's a bigger surprise. So, I mean, that is certainly a possibility for Battleground. And, you know, it would only make sense to eventually do Cody Rhodes and Damian Sandow for the world title and really settle that feud once and for all. I mean, that would be a missed opportunity if they don't go back to that at some point. All right, this one comes from Nick Lombardi 9. Hey Aaron, it's been a while. Here's one. What do you predict Battleground to be like? Is it going to be worth buying? Please answer in video. To be honest, unless you're somebody who can afford to buy every WWE pay-per-view every month, I mean, this one is definitely skippable. You know, it's really a throwaway pay-per-view, and there's not really a whole lot on this card that me personally I'm excited about. I mean, you have Daniel Bryan versus Randy Orton again, which I don't expect will be the last match of the feud. You have Ryback versus CM Punk. No interest in that match. I mean, I don't even want to see that one again. As I mentioned in the previous video, really the only match that I would say I'm even remotely excited about is the Rhodes family, you know, Cody and Goldust versus the Shield, and but you know that's fairly predictable too because I'm you know one would think that Cody and Goldust win and you know Cody gets his job back and that's the end of that part of the storyline. So you know, even though that's predictable, I mean that'll still be cool to see Goldust and Cody as a tag team against the Shield, and it should be a very good match. So you know that one you know that's a pay-per-view quality match, and then you have a bunch of throwaway matches. I mean, you have I think Curtis Axel versus R-Truth and Bray Wyatt versus Kofi or something like that. I mean, just a bunch of you know, it just seems like a bunch of Raw matches on a pay-per-view. So yeah, I don't really have high hopes for this one, and maybe it'll surprise. Maybe it will be a great pay-per-view, but you know, on paper, it doesn't look like it's going to be anything special. All right, this one comes from the Potato Lord. I see Battleground being a flop. Your thoughts? Well, yeah, as I mentioned, the card is not all that exciting, and the gap between pay-per-views is so small. I mean, you already have Hell in the Cell in a couple weeks, and I think if any pay-per-view is going to be purchased this month, it's going to be Hell in the Cell. I think people are, if they're going to choose one or the other, they're going to go with Hell in the Cell. So, I mean, yeah, Battleground is in a really bad position here. You know, a new pay-per-view name, and there's no real gimmick behind the pay-per-view. It just seems like a random pay-per-view they're throwing out with 3 weeks of build. You know, I think it's going to do one of the lowest pay-per-view buy rates in WWE history. I would be surprised if it does anything decent. All right, this one comes from James Ryan 37401. Hey Aaron, do you think if Ryback beat CM Punk at Hell in a Cell in 2012 cleanly, his career would have been different? What do you think of the SmackDown match? Oh, this is a different question. So first of all, I'll answer the Ryback question. I think that in the short term, it would have been much better for Ryback to win that match and continue the wave of momentum. I mean, there's no question he lost a lot of momentum when they did that screw job finish. And, you know, WWE, from a booking standpoint, really backed themselves into a corner with that match. You know, it shouldn't have taken place. I mean, they should have come up with something else. And, you know, they wanted to protect CM Punk and continue his reign as champion until the Royal Rumble with The Rock. But at the same time, you don't want to have Ryback lose. And they came up with that stupid finish. And, you know, that was just the beginning of Ryback's decline. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know if, you know, today in October 2013, Ryback would still be a huge deal. But certainly it would have kept his momentum going at least for a little while longer. And the other question here, what did you think of the SmackDown match with Santino? I forgot who he faced. He faced Heath Slater, and that was perhaps the worst WWE TV segment of the year. I mean, it's right up there for me with the Titus O'Neil Pancake Patterson thing with John Cena. That whole promo. I mean, this was just awful. I mean, I don't even know why would they put this on television? I mean, I know it's something for the kids, but usually this kind of thing they do is something you might see at a house show, but not on national television. I just thought it was extremely embarrassing and so over the top with the flutes and Santino's Cobra. I mean, come on now. I mean, just absolutely ridiculous. All right, this one comes from JT Game Designer. I recently read online that Ken Shamrock has been tweeting to Vince McMahon that he wants to return to WWE. Do you think that there's a chance we'll ever get to see the world's most dangerous man back in the squared circle? To be honest, I think it's unlikely. I think that if Ken Shamrock was going to go back to WWE, if WWE had any real interest in bringing him back, I think it would have been maybe 5-6 years ago when UFC was first getting really hot and Ken Shamrock had come off that fight with Tito Ortiz that did a huge rating. Now, I mean, Ken Shamrock's been out of the spotlight for a long time, and he's well into his 40s. I just don't see it happening. And it wasn't like he was a top tier WWE star. Yes, he was an upper mid carder, and I think he had 1 or 2 pay-per-view main events, but he wasn't a really big star for a long period of time. So I don't think it's going to happen. All right, that'll do it for this edition of NoDQ&A video. Thanks as always for watching. Subscribe, youtube.com/NoDQCAW. And remember, stay tuned to NoDQ.com for all the latest regarding Battleground. And I will see you guys next time for more NoDQ&A video.